Welcome to Fearless with Jason Whitlock. I am Jason Whitlock, your host. Happy Wednesday. Thank you for joining me. We have a fantastic show planned for you today. There's some bad dads in the NBA, in professional sports, and we had a bad dad situation in the National Basketball Association last night. Tyrese Haliburton's dad came on the court, but he's not the only bad dad, and we'll get into it. It's not, LeVar Ball, Deion Sanders, hell, Bill Belichick. Bad dads are everywhere, and it's turning into, let me preview. We're also going to talk about Jemele Hill. She criticized, she didn't criticize Shedeur Sanders, but maybe she did a little bit, but she said, it's not racism. What happened to Shedeur Sanders, I know we talked about that yesterday, but when Jemele Hill, whose only talent is playing the race card, declines to play the race card, holy cow, we've got something. Shedeur has sent out a workout video where he's trying to mimic old school, this for you old guys that are watching, Walter Payton running up hills. Remember that from the 1970s and 80s? They would show Walter Payton. Well, Shedeur Sanders is doing that, and he's trying to put out propaganda that he's not such a bad guy and such a bad teammate and will contribute to a winning culture. We'll talk about that with Steve Kim. Cam Newton, he ripped Shedeur Sanders, which kind of isn't surprising. There's a little history there between those two. And then Etan Thomas and Jemele Hill, we'll circle back to Jemele again, they ripped Saquon Barkley. They shredded Saquon Barkley for visiting the White House and having respect for Donald Trump. We'll talk about that with Steve Kim. And then finally, Colin Cowherd, he found a way to defend Jordon Hudson. That's fascinating and interesting. But before I get into today's topic, I want to thank our friends at Relief Factor. Relief Factor is a daily supplement that fights pain naturally, developed by doctors. Relief Factor doesn't just mask pain temporarily, it helps reduce or eliminate pain. In fact, the longer you take it, the more effective it is. Try Relief Factor's 3-week quick start today for just $19.95. $19.95, you can relieve your pain. Visit relieffactor.com or call 1-800-4-RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF. Let's get into Giannis Antetokounmpo and John Haliburton, I believe, is Tyrese Haliburton's dad's name. And I guess John Haliburton is some sort of basketball referee, maybe in Wisconsin or somewhere. But he came onto the court. Tyrese hits a game-winning shot, and his dad runs onto the court and gets into it eventually. He comes on the court to taunt. He waves a sign and starts taunting Giannis Antetokounmpo. The Milwaukee Bucks were eliminated last night, and Tyrese Haliburton's dad, the game was in Indianapolis, comes on the court and gets in the face of Giannis Antetokounmpo. This is crazy, and everybody knows it's crazy. And so I want to start with Giannis explaining his thoughts, his reaction to what happened between himself and John Haliburton. Let's play shot number 2.
I believe being humble in victory. That's how I am. Now there can be a lot of people out there that are like, no, when you win the game, you gotta talk shit, and it's a green light for you to be disrespectful towards somebody else. I disagree. I've won the championship. They haven't. Okay, and that doesn't say anything. I'm not trying to minimize their effort, but I remember when I won, my mom that she's never missed the games from February 11th or 13th when she came in Milwaukee against the Knicks. She's never missed a game. when we won a championship, I remember my mom, she was scared to cross. She was like, am I allowed to come and hug my son? I see, except now my brother does media. For this year, he wants to come back and play. But like, except in that, you've never seen my family like see courtside. See, this is not something that we do. We don't. I try to keep my family away from the game. But losing the game, emotions run high. Having a fan, which at the moment I thought he was a fan, but then I realized it was Tyrese's son, which I love. Tyrese, I think he's a great competitor. He was his dad, sorry. Coming in the floor and showing me his son a towel with his face. This is what we do. This is what we effing do. This the F we do. This. I feel like that's very, very disrespectful.
So that's Giannis doing what Giannis does. Giannis is probably one of the classiest guys in the NBA and maybe in all of professional sports. It's a well-reasoned explanation. Hats off to Giannis Antetokounmpo, and hats off to Tyrese Haliburton. And because he came in the post-game press conference and criticized and called out his dad. I found that very promising and appropriate. Let's play shot number 3.
You know, as far as the incident between Giannis and my pops, I had no idea it happened until I got to the back and was showed the video. Me and my pops have talked about that, and I don't agree with, you know, what transpired there from him. You know, I think basketball is basketball, and let's keep it on the court. And I think that he just, you know, got excited, saw his son make a game winner, and came on the court. But I think we had a conversation, and you know, I think he just needs to just allow me to just play basketball, stay over there. I'll come to him to celebrate. But I think it's the emotions of the game just got excited there. But I talked with him. I'll talk with Giannis eventually about it. Just, you know, I don't think that my pops was in the right at all there, and unfortunate, you know, what happened in the end there. But I mean, this series was a lot of war of words, a lot of war of antics, a lot of stuff going back and forth, and that's just part of, you know, this rivalry and what we've built here over the last couple of years. And you know, it's unfortunate what happened there, but I think it's just competition. And as far as my pops, again, I don't agree with what happened there. We'll have a conversation. You know, everybody's grown men, and you know, we'll just go from there.
So, all appropriate. You got Giannis and Tyrese all with the appropriate comments. You even have John Haliburton, the dad. He put out an apology. I sincerely apologize to Giannis, the Milwaukee Bucks, the Pacers organization, for my actions following tonight's game. This was not a good reflection on our sport or my son, and I will not make that mistake again. This is, wow, look at this. People made a mistake. People are calling it out. People are apologizing. But because we live in this era where there's two sides to every story, someone, and I can't believe it's Shaquille O'Neal, somehow found a way to take the other side on this issue. And it's hard for me to understand, but this is the world we live in. Everything can be defended. I'm not comparing John Haliburton to this analogy I'm about to make. But there are some things where there's not another side to the story. There are just some truths. And so when a 17-year-old boy stabs another 17-year-old boy over a disputed seat, there's not two sides to that story. And particularly when there's been no evidence presented that there is another side. But people have done that. I don't understand how Shaq found another side to this story, but he did last night on TNT. Let's play the clip.
Does your view change now that you've heard that?
No, because
And you saw the towel?
I don't care. It comes with the territory.
It does
I don't
not.
give a damn.
No, it
Yes,
does
it
not.
does. Yes,
No,
it
it
does.
doesn't.
Yes, it does.
So what
Yes,
would
it
you,
does.
okay, I'm asking you a question. if it comes with the territory, and a fan or a dad comes up to you after you win and puts a towel in the face and curses at you, what would you have done?
I played 19 years.
What would you have done?
Listen, you can't do nothing because we're not allowed to do anything. I played 19 years. That happens plenty of times.
It does not happen when a family member's on the court as you celebrate.
Bro, a fan. Yes, it does. A fan. Yes, it does.
That does not happen.
Yeah,
And see, the thing that bothers me about it.
Does. Hold on, Kenny. Kenny. When we lost to Houston, you don't think people had brooms going to the locker room hitting us with freaking brooms?
That ain't the same as one.
It is the same thing. It's a fan. He's a fan. Forget he's a fan. He's a fan.
It's not the same thing.
It comes
you
in
think
the
just because
territory.
you said something, you yell to make it true. It don't make it true.
It does
the
make it
thing
true.
that bothers me, Ernie, the thing that bothers me, if Giannis had to whoop his ass, Giannis would be in trouble. No fan should come on the court harassing a player during the game. They do not come on the court.
And so I will say that if they do all the time or if they don't all the time,
you're just soft.
Because you pay for a ticket doesn't entitle you to be on the floor.
It doesn't matter. It comes with the territory. He lost. Get him out of there. Listen, he lost.
If you have access to get there, doesn't make it right, and you're not entitled to. You're not entitled to interrogate or not interrogate, to antagonize players. That is not right. He is 100% wrong.
I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying don't be a punk and whine about it. It comes to the territory, it happens, you move on.
He didn't whine about it.
You lose and you move on.
No, that's not. And you know what's really amazing, Ernie? Let me tell you what another thing bothers me. If the Cavaliers were to beat them, and one of their family members did that to his son, he'd blow a gasket. He would blow a gasket. If the Cavaliers beat the Pacers and one of their
Mitchell's dad did that.
came out there and started, Haliburton's dad would go crazy because he knows that's wrong.
We like his dad, but that's
you're supposed to go crazy. But hey, man,
I'm glad Haliburton.
But there's a difference between being excited about winning the thing and then getting into somebody's face.
I don't care what y'all talking about. It comes with listen. I done played 19. I done went to Ole Miss, Mississippi State, where they do a lot of stuff.
And they were wrong too.
But it doesn't matter.
And they were wrong too.
And you don't hear me whine about it. When I lose, I go home and regroup and come back. That's all I'm saying.
Shaq, this is Tyrese Haliburton from the equation. It cannot be removed. This is the NBA that had the malice in the palace. This is the NBA that the players have an animus towards the fans. They do. You can't defend this. You just can't. And I get that fans storm the court, and that's what Shaq is talking about, but that's a college thing. That's not an NBA thing. And for this man's father to run onto the court and set that precedent like he's part of the game, he embarrassed his son, he embarrassed the Pacers organization, he embarrassed himself. And this is a situation where pro sports, which includes college, parents, because of all the money that's been pushed into pro sports, and all the parents now basically get to retire off their kids' money, and all they do is travel around game to game to game. That's their job, to go run around and follow their kids' athletic career. That's their job. If you go back in the day when the players didn't make all of this money and the parents actually had to keep a job, weren't able to just fly city to city and attend every game, that is the appropriate situation. Pro sports have become just like Hollywood, and we have these dads that are now beauty pageant parents. This goes on. This is a money, fame, celebrity thing. I'm going to reference Dion. I'm going to reference LeVar Ball. This isn't a black-white situation. This is a celebrity, fame, and money situation. We've seen this with beauty pageant moms. We've seen helicopter parents. We've seen it. It's just now been put on steroids in sports. And we have out-of-control fathers who feel entitled. This is where I will inject the whole black culture element to this. Even though I'm telling you, we've seen it in other avenues, in other industries, wherever there's money, fame, kids, and parents living off their kids, you have a situation where things like this can happen and do happen. But there is a little special element here because of the branding and the narrative about black fathers. They abandon their wives, they abandon their kids, they're absentee fathers. That when you do have a father like a John Haliburton, a LeVar Ball, a Deion Sanders, that takes an interest in their kids and supports and develops their kids, sometimes they go too far. They don't know when to say when. They don't know when to push that child out of the nest and let that child stand on his own 2 feet. Just because you went to every game when they were in elementary school, just because you went to every game when they were in junior high and high school, just because you went to every game when they were in college, doesn't mean you have to go to every game when they're in the pros. There is some point where you have to push your child out of the nest and help them, mentor them, advise them from an appropriate distance. Let that child be a grown man. I gave LeBron James credit years ago when his mother tried to inject herself into a situation with the Cleveland Cavaliers. And LeBron bowled up and looked up and said, "Sit your rear end down. This right here, I got. I'm 6'9", I'm 250 pounds, I'm the greatest player in the NBA. I don't need my mother up in any of this." Same situation here with Tyrese Haliburton. And I want to be careful here. I don't want to, because I like Kevin Durant. But his mama needed to quit sitting courtside long ago. Let these kids go. Let them have a life of their own. This is the problem. It's great. You were with them in elementary, junior high, high school, and even college. But at some point, let them go. Take a step back. Let your kid be a grown man. These are daddy issues. These are bad dads doing too much. I saw something, I'm going to relate this to Deion Sanders. I saw something from Arian Foster talking about Shedeur Sanders, and this was long before the NFL draft, where Arian Foster was talking about, like, you know, Shedeur is overvalued, and then he was talking about Deion doing too much. Or was this right after the draft? Let's play the clip. I watched it once this morning. Memory's a little fuzzy. Let's play Arian Foster, shot number 6.
I just don't know, because I'm trying to put myself in his shoes. Like, what's the motive behind this? Your son is about to live out his childhood dreams. You're having him step foot in an arena of men who earn their stripes, and you want him to have a little badge of privilege coming into the league. Like, I went where I went. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's a rite of passage. Like, a draft is a rite of passage. Like, I don't know. I don't understand the play.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't understand the play. I'm just very curious. I would love to have a conversation with him. Like what's the play? Because I think it's my son, right? I want the league to do whatever the league does to you, because that's how character is built. Like, I want, if you go to a shitty team, man, come up out of that. See what you do. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to have no influence on my son's life. My son got to walk his own path, and it don't got nothing to do with me. Like, I'm just very curious as to why you feel the need to want to control his future? Or have you not even control, because that may be too harsh of a word, but like have a hand in his future?
Aaron Foster has nailed it. Former NFL running back, a father. He's nailing it here. I get it. You get criticized, hey, if you're absentee and distance, and now we're criticizing fathers that are doing too much. But this is a teachable moment. And these discussions need to be had. Deion Sanders being the helicopter parent, that they had a news story out yesterday over social media. Deion called Todd Bowles and classily thanked Todd Bowles for giving his son a chance. We don't need that story. Deion doesn't need to make that phone call. Todd Bowles has done nothing special. That's just Deion trying. Look what I did. I called Todd Bowles and thanked him. Where's it? Who's leaking this story? Did Todd Bowles? Did he come? And maybe he did. He came, Deion called and thanked me for signing Shiloh. How about just stand down and let your son and your son's agent thank Todd Bowles? I get it. You think I'm being hypercritical on Deion. But these bad dads, these parents doing too much, it's about them constantly, not about their sons. You nurture and develop them as children. You prepare them to be adults. At around 18, 19 years old, you push them out of the nest and let them walk. And hopefully by the time they get to be 23, 24 years old, they can run. And they don't need you. This seems so simple to me, but we've made it so hard. And now we're hearing repeat story after repeat story of, and I appreciate John Haliburton apologizing, but I just couldn't imagine being his age, in his 50s most likely, and losing his cool and composure, that he didn't want to go out there and hug his son. He wanted to go on the court and taunt Giannis Antetokounmpo. This is Angel Reese all over again. This is unexplainable. Your son, they were up, I think 3-1 in the series. You knew they were going to win. Your son hits the game-winning shot. You run onto the court not to go wrap your arms around your son, but to taunt the opposing player? This is Angel Reese. There's some kind of wiring that's gone haywire here. That your child, your team does something great, and all you can think about is taunting the opponent. Giannis Antetokounmpo, he's not one of these, he's not Dylan Brooks. He's not Draymond Green. He's one of the classiest athletes in sports. And your initial instinct when your son hits the game-winning shot is, hey, I can go taunt Giannis Antetokounmpo. That is insanity. No different than Angel Reese building a brand off of, hey, we won a game, and I'm not going to go celebrate with my teammates. I'm going to turn and taunt Caitlin Clark. The wiring is off. The motivation is off. It makes no sense. Shannon Sharp weighed in on this, and it's kind of interesting because Shannon Sharp had an incident with the Memphis Grizzlies with the, when they were playing the Lakers. And Shannon, I think I halfway want to give him credit for just addressing this And I think he goes on to describe what he feels is the difference, that he wasn't on the court. He didn't actually go on the court. Pretty much did. But anyway, let's play the clip.
Look, Joe, I could just imagine how my dad would have felt. Ocho, if he could have saw, your dad see you play, my dad could have seen me play. Yeah. And that's his son. I'm his baby boy. And to see me out there on the field and I'm scoring a touchdown, I can imagine the pride that a father feels when his son hits a home run or his son wins, does something. So I can imagine. But to come all the way on the court? Yeah, that's. And look, you talking to a guy that got into an altercation with the Grizzlies, but my ass was on the sideline. I'm not excusing it. So, chat, I'm not excusing my behavior. So I'm just saying, I think, look, if he wants to wave the towel, he's on the sideline, fine, so be it. But when you come on into that playing area, it's like when you run on the football field. Back in the day, they used to run on the football field, players tackle the hell out you.
Right.
Yeah.
Good for Shedeur, good for the transparency. But we've created, I'm going back to Shaq, and we've created a culture where there's no accountability, there is no right or wrong, there's two sides to every issue. And that's why John Haliburton made that mistake. Because any and everything can be defended. He's got the complexion for the connection. Because trust me, if he had done this to Nikola Jokic, we'd be having a completely different discussion right now. And there would be 10 sides to this story. Well, I bet Nikola Jokic's brothers were in the stands talking crazy to Tyrese, and that's why. There would be some rationalization if, thank God we're in a situation where Giannis Antetokounmpo has the same skin color as John Haliburton, and we can get a measure of truth and honesty about this discussion. And so now, because it's two black people, we have sanity and a mostly common sense perspective. Even Ryan Clark, although he goes too far, even Ryan Clark can see the stupidity of John Haliburton here. Let's play Ryan Clark.
Everything is about the shield in the NFL, and part of that shield is the people that are on the field. This is Giannis Antetokounmpo. This is a finals MVP. This is an MVP of the league. This is the first ballot Hall of Famer, and you got John Haliburton running on the court acting like Gilly the Kid at a Philly game, right? That just can't happen. And kudos to Giannis Antetokounmpo of being the type of man that he is, because I know a ton of football players, and the first thing I thought when they were face-to-face was headbutting. Right? Because if you're going to allow people on the court, if you're going to allow fans to be face-to-face with players, then players should get to protect themselves against those fans and against those people. And I believe he should never be allowed to be at another basketball game. He shouldn't be allowed. He shouldn't get to come to the suite. Punish him. Yeah. Right? If you're going to run on the court, if you're going to be big and bad, if you're going to put yourself above the game, don't come to the game, ever. You have to make a stand so no one else does this.
And this is the problem when you play the race card constantly. You have to overcompensate. And so now Ryan Clark is going overboard on John Haliburton. And John Haliburton made a mistake. And if someone wants to say the next playoff series, you can't come to the game, no worries, no problem, appropriate. But never come to the game again, that's ridiculous. That's stupid. John Haliburton should make that decision for himself, step away, go on with his own life, enjoy his son's games, mostly on TV. But banned from the NBA forever, that's a hot take intended to say, see, I just don't say dumb stuff about white people. I say dumb stuff about black people too. All right, we're going to bring Steve Kim into the conversation, and we'll address the Giannis deal and some of these other issues going on in sports. Before we do that, Mother's Day is approaching, and I want to highlight an organization that cares deeply for mothers, and that's Preborn. Preborn's network of clinics exists exclusively to offer love, life, and support to pregnant mothers who are feeling scared and alone and are being pressured to make the ultimate choice that will not only sacrifice the life of a child, but take a piece of that woman's heart as well. When a distressed mother comes to preborn, she is welcomed with open arms and is offered a free ultrasound to hear and see the precious life inside of her. And the majority of the time, she will then choose life, and that's when preborn steps up. This Mother's Day, you can help bring life to both a mother in need and an at-risk baby. One ultrasound is only $28. 5 ultrasounds are $140. Every penny goes towards loving mothers and babies. And when you become a monthly sponsor, you will receive pictures and stories of lives you helped to save. To get involved, simply dial pound 250 and say the keyword baby. That's pound 250, the keyword baby, or visit preborn.com/fearless. That's the way I prefer to give, preborn.com/fearless. I'm sorry I wasn't completely prepared for this, but I promised that yesterday, if you sent me, Ryan Wilson, thank you so much for donating to Preborn. He gave another $140 yesterday in my honor. Ryan Wilson, I appreciate that. I'm sure God is pleased with you, as are the people at Preborn. Thank you so much. Steve Kim, just around the corner. Nerds. Men, it's time to rise. Our country, our faith, our future, all under attack. I'm bringing the boldest voices to Nashville. Roll Call 3.0 is your call to action. Join me, join Tucker, and let's take a stand together. May 2nd and 3rd in Nashville. I am Jason Whitlock, your host.
Went without so that he could give you an abundant life. Now it's time for you to evade the ego trip so that someone else can live better. Amen.
It's necessary that we decide to become men of character, of godly intent.
He gives power to the saints, and to them that have no might he increases strength. Even you shall faint and be weary. Young men shall utterly fall. Jason, I know you called it to preach off, but I feel like preaching up in here right about now.
모두 다 빨리 박수 쳐 기다리지 말고 서둘러 Reason that I'm back is to feed you raps I see that you up here below So fly
All right, welcome back, Steve Kim. Should John Haliburton be banned from NBA arenas for life? Should he get a life sentence for getting in the face of Giannis Antetokounmpo?
The cynic in me says that he should be forced to go to every game of the WNBA that does not involve Caitlin Clark. Now, see, that's real punishment. You really want to hurt a guy? You really want to punish and torture somebody? Make them do that. But it got me thinking. I'm watching the footage of Giannis just kind of look at the guy like, are you real? Two thoughts came to mind, Mr. Whitlock. Number one, it's obvious Giannis did not grow up in America and he was brought up well. The impulse control that he showed, that was very un-American, and salute to him. Sometimes discretion is the better part of ass-kicking. Number two, could you imagine Mr. Haliburton or anybody else doing that to the likes of Charles Oakley, Anthony Mason, guys like that, guys in the 90s?
Charles Barkley?
Charles Barkley? I mean, look at that. And to Ryan Clark's point, look, I'm with you on that. I would tell Mr. Haliburton and his son, look, that's strike one, but this is it. You're allowed to come to the games, but we're going to make it very clear, short of that being an NBA championship winning celebration, you are not allowed on the court ever again.
Certainly that. What did you think of what was Shaq doing defending this? Just being controversial, just clickbait? Did he believe it? What's going on with Shaq?
Well, that's interesting because I thought about Shaq's own history with the man who raised him. Remember, I think his name was Philip Harrison, the sergeant. And I do remember a couple of times when Mr. Harrison, God rest his soul, did not like the officiating. And He was a very, very measured, serious human being, but he'd get angry, and he made himself seen and heard. So maybe Shaq thinks that this type of behavior, and although to be fully transparent and honest, Philip Harrison never went that far, but maybe that's part of the DNA where Shaq says, yeah, it's actually okay for parents and family members to be involved to this degree.
Steve, I want to keep it moving and move back to Shedeur Sanders. People are still talking about him, including Jemele Hill. And I nearly fell out. She said, hey, this isn't a racial situation with Shedeur Sanders going in the 5th round. Let's play the clip.
I can't believe this is the number one skeptic of the NFL. I'm somebody who many times Atlantic and in shows like this have talked about how this league has a lot of racist underpinnings. They, as you mentioned, they have a terrible track record. So I'm the last person to throw down the cape over the puddle for the NFL. But in this case, it wasn't about race. I think it had everything to do with the fact that they did not value Shedeur Sanders as a talent, as that kind of surefire. He's a lock as a first round or top 5 kind of guy. And again, in that draft process, that's an evaluation of who you are, your character, your football character, all those things. So if it's true, the reports that he was purposely tanking some interviews because he didn't want to go to those teams, showing up and doing other things with other teams, those kind of messages get out across the league, and they're going to reflect poorly on him. And so you can't, if they already think you're kind of a borderline talent, and then you add the extra stuff to it, it is going to greatly influence your draft stock. And no, we can't compare it to Colin Kaepernick. This is a man who lost his career when he already had been to a Super Bowl and done a lot as a quarterback. And then he had his career taken from him because of he made the mistake of actually standing up for black people.
Okay.
That was great, except for the ending.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Jason, if you would have cut out the last
on a scale of 1 to 10, how shocked are you that she took that position?
Well, I'm gonna grade the whole thing. The first 45 seconds on a scale of 1 to 10, 12. 12. I mean, yeah, she'll be given a 30-day ban from the cookout. She'll be called a lot of mean things on Twitter that rhyme with Boone and yell out. You know the way it goes. You've been on the end of that. The last 15 seconds, -10, so it kind of evens out. But I will give her credit for at least understanding what really happened and looking at the preponderance of evidence and giving a rational explanation of what took place. Now, more credit to Jemele Hill. She's handling this better than Rich Eisen. Jason, I like Rich. I have so much respect for what he's done. But this whole week, and I've sent you some of the clips and the interviews, he's bringing on one person after another about that situation, the slide of Shedeur. And these guys all give the same explanation, the same stories. They all have great sources. And then invariably, in the middle of the interview, Jason, Eisen goes, I just don't get it. I just don't get what happened. Rich, you brought on 7 people that have told you what's happened. That's what happened. But props to Jemele. Credit to you.
Rich Eisen is friends with Deion.
I can tell.
Clearly, but again, there's levels to friendship. And so clearly they're not really friends. Because if they were really friends, he'd tell Deion the truth, and he'd say, Deion, you helped screw up this draft process. You were too involved. That's what real friends do. Rich Eisen's not doing that. And I like Rich Eisen as well. But if I'm in some friendship where I can't tell a friend the truth, we're not really friends.
But Jason, keep this in mind. White guilt, it's a hell of a drug. It's a hell of a drug. And also, you're right. You're right. He's not just carrying water for the Sanders family. He's literally carrying Niagara Falls. Rich, this is what happened. Okay, Shedeur is still one of the 257 players that got drafted. It's an incredible honor. And come probably within a week or two, he'll be at training camp or mini camp, the OTAs, the rookie camps for the Browns. He could begin the process of at least winning a roster spot. It's not the end of the world.
Hey, you transitioned me here. Let me play you the clip. I think, don't we have video of Shedeur working out? Yeah, it's VO number 10. Let's play VO number 10. Shedeur has clearly leaked this out to try to rehabilitate his image. He's running hills somewhere in Cleveland. This somehow magically appears all over social media yesterday. You impressed with this? Has Shedeur turned over a new leaf? See now a great teammate?
This is symbolism. I could just hear the NFL Films music and John Facenda, the voice of God, in my head now. The symbolism that this young oppressed man with an uphill climb to make his dream come true after such a poor background and a tough childhood. I could just see it. But Jason, I'm going to go back to one of my favorite phrases. He's doing what he's supposed to. Oh my God, a football player that just got drafted is working out. Okay, how is this different than any other guy employed by the National Football League right now?
Well, everybody else is working out in some real location with with a professional trainer. That's not quite Derrick Henry.
Walter Payton did this. Come on, running up the hills.
I got it. In 1976, we're now in 2025. He'd be doing what Derrick Henry does.
It worked out for sweetness. Okay, how did it work out for sweetness? Oh, by the way, I heard that place is now a golf course. Wow, that's sad. Sad, man. No respect for tradition.
Yeah, right.
Peyton's Hill.
Hey, hold for 1 second. I got one more Shedeur thing I want to run it by you, but hold for 1 second. I want to talk. You don't have this issue, but I do. I need to break free of my yo-yo diet pattern. It's the main reason why one of our new sponsors, Lean, was created by doctors. Lean is a supplement, not an injection, and you don't need a prescription for it. The science behind Lean is impressive. It studied natural ingredients, target weight loss in 3 powerful ways. Lean helps maintain healthy blood sugar, it helps control appetite and cravings, and it helps burn fat by converting fat into energy. Lean is, oh man, we took my Lean off it's back in my office, not here at my desk. If you're tired of losing weight and being on the yo-yo trend, that's what I'm tired of. That's why I've incorporated Lean into my routine. You can get some Lean and incorporate that into your workout routine, weight loss routine. Go to lean.com, use the promo code FEARLESS20, lean.com, promo code FEARLESS20 for 20% off. I can't believe that this isn't out sitting on my desk, but it's sitting back in my office because Tiffany gives it to me when I get here. But anyway, thank you, Lean, for jumping on board. Thank you for helping me out. You guys can see the actual results that's going on with me. I'm having some of my greatest success. You guys, I talk about what I've been doing every day. Lean is a part of that. Steve, I want to go back and show you Cam Newton, who has a little bit of a history with Shedeur Sanders. There was a video during the season. I think Cam either came to a game or a practice, and Shedeur kind of blew Cam off, said you got a weird energy or something or other. And now Cam has a chance to kick Shedeur while he's 5th round. So here's Cam Newton talking about Shedeur Sanders and Shedeur needing to diminish his cockiness.
Shedeur, like, first off, I got to hold him accountable, right? Travis Hunter is what we would think Shedeur is supposed to be. Shedeur has always got this mean mug look on his face, like he always like, man, snobbish looking, you know what I'm saying? I'm just keeping it a buck. Yeah. It's like, yo, I've met Shedeur multiple times where I'm looking at him like, okay, everybody don't see this side that I saw. Yeah. But his image in the media is just like,
you know what it is.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Standing on business, which is cool. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? He always in character for a reason. Like, I gotta portray like I'm Look, my whole thing with Shedeur is this. What win can he hang, like what performance
Can you hang your hat on?
can you hang your hat on in college?
Wow. Let's play the clip, I think, of Cam Newton getting blown off by Shedeur. That it's just a video. Cam Newton seems to be getting blown off by Shedeur here, and that's probably at the root of this. Do you think Cam is keeping it in a buck, or is he settling the score here, Steve?
Jason, I know we had some rough moments with Cam. Is he our guy now? Is he? I know we didn't see things eye to eye back in January, early February. Are we kind of guys now? Our guy, Cam, is he settling the score? There's no doubt human nature takes over, but to Mr. Newton's credit, he's not lying. He really is not. And I know the cynic's going to say that those two guys are the Spider-Man meme where Spider-Man is pointing at each other, right? Let me just point this out, though. Cam's version of Spider-Man would be much bigger, formidable, and better than Shedeur Spider-Man, because in 2010, Cam Newton put on maybe the greatest single individual season of lifting a team that was not all that talented to the top of the mountain. Really, it's one of the most remarkable years I've ever seen. But Cam is also speaks from a very interesting perspective. He had some question marks about him as a prospect. There was a bit of a checkered past based on the reason why he had to leave the University of Florida. Don't want to rehash that. But he went through the process, and he was drafted numero uno, number 1. So that's a guy, I think, with special knowledge. And I know people are going to come back against him and say he's quote-unquote hating. I did not detect one lie from Cam Newton, regardless of whatever personal vendetta he may or may not have.
Yeah, Cam was definitely multitasking here. A little bit of revenge, but also keep it in 100. And Cam wanted to go all the way there, and maybe he did, because I haven't seen the whole show. But this whole thing that, yeah, Shedeur, they just couldn't handle him. He's too confident. Who was more stereotypically confident than Cam Newton? And again, I'm not sure if that's real confidence or not, but if the NFL was going to be afraid of someone, it would be Cam Newton. He would have been considered cocky coming into the NFL. He was someone that, carried Auburn to the national championship and was the best player in college football while being vilified by people in the media. He came in and talked about wanting to be an icon, and later in his career, after 5 or 6 years, he transitioned into this fashionista, crazy person that we see now. Yeah, the Mad Hatter or whatever. And so, but the NFL drafted him number 1, gave him a big contract. Yes. He made $150, $200 million in the NFL. Cam blows up the narrative. They're like, oh, we're afraid to draft a confident black man. Give me a break. That's all they've been drafting is stereotypically confident guys that love to throw on gold chains and cover up their insecurities. But Steve, give me 1 second here. I want to make sure that people know the Blaze TV. We have a new show coming. Nicole Shanahan, she's RFK's right-hand woman. She's got a show called Back to the People that will be available here on Blaze TV. You go to youtube.com/Nicole Shanahan, or just type her name in the search. We want to welcome Nicole to Blaze TV. She's a part of the Make America Healthy Again movement. She's a big voice that's been added to Blaze TV. Go to youtube.com/Nicole Shanahan, or just type her name into the search engine. Nicole, welcome to the Blaze TV family. Steve, we can now go back to criticizing Jemele Hill, because she criticized Saquon Barkley for being warm and fuzzy with Donald Trump. Let's first play Jemele Hill, and then we'll play perhaps Etan Thomas. But here's Jemele Hill taking a dump on Saquon Barkley.
Oh, definitely. But a lot of that has to do with the fact that this administration has communicated so often about how they feel about black people in this country. You know, at the same time, while he is with the president, you have this administration taking away precious artifacts from the National African American Museum here in Washington, D.C. You have them doing other things that show that they are more than willing to undermine black liberation in this country. And so if you're a black player, that automatically is going to put you at the crosshairs of politics. And so while I do think generally my position is with these White House invites, whether it be a Republican or a Democrat in office, we've seen players that didn't go when Obama was in office.
Jalen Hurts didn't go today?
Yeah, Jalen Hurts didn't go today either. But the thing is that I've always felt like it's up to the player to decide that. But once you make that decision, realize that people like you and I can be here on television to question whether or not or where it is you truly stand by standing and aligning yourself with somebody who frankly has really done a lot and has a very long history of completely disrespecting people who look like you.
That's the Jemele Hill I know and dislike. She's back and she's policing Saquon Barkley. She's, you know, there are precious artifacts being removed from some museum she can barely name, some museum she's probably never visited. Who knows what she's talking about, but that's the big smoking gun that allegedly he's removing precious artifacts. And therefore that proves that Donald Trump is a racist and that you shouldn't go to the White House. This is a joke.
Jason, I have a question. How much do you think this criticism of Barkley is also rooted in the fact he married a white woman?
70%, 75%.
Yeah. I think it'd be naive to think otherwise. The issue is, though, I don't understand this. So you're saying black athletes going to the White House to respect the office, and we don't really know how they voted, because I'm sure teams throughout the years, going back to Gerald Ford, Jimmy Carter, Ronald Reagan, Clinton, Bush, both of them, I'm pretty sure there had been a lot of athletes that were on these teams that were invited, right, that were not of the same political affiliation. Like, I remember when Miami, led by Jimmy Johnson, that great renegade team of '87, there's a great picture, Ronald Reagan holding up a jersey with Coach Johnson and all our players. And I get the sense most of our players back then, Jason, I don't think we're Republicans. I really don't. I don't think a lot of our guys were Republicans, especially in that era, right? So, but they think it's probably a great honor. My view is this, Jamil. Are you really more bothered by several black athletes deciding to take a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for most people is more bothersome to you than some of the behavior of the very same people you claim to care about that is happening on a daily basis throughout you know which cities, you know which metropolitan areas? Really? I think, again, that is the issue a lot of people have. It is the lack of honesty about this whole thing. And as I look at that set, oh, God, Scott Jennings was needed worse than ever, right then and there.
It's what's amazing is that Donald Trump, as this wedge issue, the Republican Party as this wedge issue, the Republican Party or the Democrat Party being the identity of black people. That if you don't support the Democrats and hate Republicans, therefore you're not black. It's I don't understand it, but I do understand it to some degree, and I expressed some of this yesterday. For black women, I get it why they love, worship the Democrat Party. You don't have to be qualified. You can be a judge who's afraid to say what a woman is and get named to the Supreme Court. You can be some 300-pound woman in Atlanta who can't balance her checkbook despite an Ivy League degree, in debt, credit rating in the toilet, and they will portray you as this greatest gift to politics, one of the greatest leaders in the history of the planet. They're willing to portray you in that way. There are gifts. You can be Kamala Harris and having slept your way into a bunch of different jobs and they'll run you for president. I get why black women love the Democratic Party. They love the power that they're given. They love being tools of the Democratic Party. They love being the justification for abortion and every other thing that the Democrat, transgenderism, they are the shield to prevent people from realizing that the Democratic Party is a demonic cult that stands for the destruction of family. There's, free cell phones, welfare checks. There's all these things. The Democratic Party promises black women, hey, I know you don't want a black man. You certainly don't want to answer to one. You certainly don't want to be led by one. We have all these giveaways for you. And so I get where Jemele Hill's coming from. They benefit from DEI, affirmative action, and they get to parade around as if the consequences of their rejection of black men and male leadership don't exist, and it's just all the black man's fault. It's a wonderful grift, a wonderful cope, a wonderful justification for rejecting male authority and the patriarchy, which is biblical. So I get it. For black men, other than being afraid of your woman, I don't get why there's this allegiance to the Democratic Party like it's something special. This is all personal for me just because I've been someone that interviewed President Trump and have had to pay the price for interviewing President Trump and having people that, I love and help get upset with me for doing my job and being a journalist, a sports journalist that reaches the top of his profession. It's difficult and it triggers me a bit. I'm going to keep it moving because I got to shut up or I'm going to go too far. Last thing, Steve. No. Let me shut up. Hadley's told me that we should play the Eton Thomas clip because he says it's great. Eton Thomas trashing Saquon Barkley as well. Let's play that clip.
The Philadelphia Eagles celebrated their Super Bowl victory at the White House today, but star quarterback Jalen Hurts did not attend. While Eagles running back Saquon Barkley embarrassed himself by sucking up to Trump on the golf course this weekend, Jalen Hurts was absolutely right to stand on business. Maybe some of the black celebrities, rappers, and athletes are not following the news, but I do. It's my job. And Donald Trump is not only the worst president in American history, but also the most openly racist president since Woodrow Wilson 100 years ago. Just today, the Justice Department indicated that it will no longer enforce the Voting Rights Act that took centuries for our ancestors to put in place. When a black public figure like Saquon Barkley associates with a man who got the NFL to remove the end racism sign from the Super Bowl end zone, they not only dishonor the 86% of black people and 92% of black women who voted against Trump, they dishonor a long line of black leaders.
I have no idea who that is, but it's not Eton Thomas.
That's not Eton. Honestly, lost a lot of weight. Jeez.
Yeah, and he's gotten shorter.
Yes, much shorter.
Let me keep it moving. let me keep it moving. Last thing I want to discuss, Steve, is Jordon Hudson. Pretty woman. Let's start. We should call her Pretty Woman.
I got a nickname. I got a moniker for her.
Oh, go ahead.
And it's perfect because this is taking place at UNC. Air Jordan. Ugh, it's terrible. Yeah, I said it. Air Jordan.
Air Jordan, that's not bad. Yeah, that's not bad. But anyway, Colin Cowherd is come up with a defense. Everybody is criticizing Air Jordan or Pretty Woman here, and they're all taking a dump on her about the CBS interview. Cowherd, living up to his name or living up to his philosophy, he'd rather be interesting than boring. And so he's certainly interesting here. Let's listen to him defend Jordon Hudson.
She's his PR director. She's Bill's influencer, which he didn't need in the NFL, but you actually do in college. I thought this was kind of a cringy thing, but she is multiple things for Bill. Assistant, girlfriend, social media producer, PR handler. She fills a lot of roles. And people are kind of uncomfortable with it. And, I mean, sometimes in life you don't have to wear a headset to call plays. She's calling plays for Bill, which he didn't need in the NFL, but he actually does in college football, where players now select you. So she's out there as his PR and social influencer saying, Bill, that doesn't play. Don't talk about that. Do talk about this. Now, if she starts to break down offense on the whiteboard next week, I'll step in and change my opinion. But as I watched this interview, I thought, oh, I've watched interviews like this. CEOs have people like Jordon Hudson. You know, presidents, politicians, senators, governors, media execs. They all have people like Jordon Hudson. She's taken the role seriously. I mean, again, I thought it was weird. I didn't know what to make of it. But when I watched that interview, I'm like, oh, I've seen that before from PR directors.
I've seen it too. And Monica Lewinsky was not a PR director. She was an intern. So I've seen it. She was an intern, not a PR director. But, you know, Colin left out a description here of her. You know, one of her titles is concubine, I believe. And so he left that out as well. Look, this is interesting, Colin, but maybe you should have chosen boring here. Your thoughts, Steve?
Oh, I thought you were going to use the term creative muse, whatever that means. Yeah, this may be his worst take since Party of Joy. When I see the Party of Joy. Oh, okay. Couple things. I like the Bill Belichick that was just Bill Belichick, and his right-hand man was Ernie Adams. But that's the thing. Colin always talks about being quote-unquote quarterbackial. That is actually his term, and a lot of people use it to his credit. And it's about how does a quarterback act as the face of a franchise. You have to hit certain benchmarks. You can't do certain things. Stay away from certain places. Go home at a certain time. Be better if you were married, right? Don't have too many indiscretions. You're telling me the same does not apply to a head football coach in college? I'm going to be honest with you. If she was just in the background and we never really saw her, I don't think most people would even care about this anymore. In fact, Jason, I believe that Jordon would just be a story that we forgot about like every other story 15 minutes later. The issue becomes, or is becoming, that she is becoming more and more of an influence. And it just looks kind of strange. It does. And I'm not judging anything. I remember the last partner that Bill Belichick had. She was an older woman, pretty nice looking, but it fit. It wasn't his original wife. He got a divorce. But this lady looked like she belonged with the Bill Belichick. They looked like a very nice couple. I thought that lady, the few times that I saw her, that she came off very, very well. Again, it was head coachial. That term doesn't work as much. Colin, you can work at that. That'll be your thing. But I have a theory on Bill Belichick based on someone that I know that actually went to the high school that he did, Andover Prep. The boxing manager that actually knew Gary Gittleson, and he told me a lot about him, okay? And Bill Belichick, from a very early age, and his best friend was Ernie Adams, his football advisor for years at New England. And my friend told me, literally every day at lunch, you know what those two were doing? They were drawing up football plays. Football was their life, 365 days a year, even back then. And I think he missed out on a lot of the fun that you had at Ball State, that a lot of people have throughout their 20s, 30s, and even 40s. So in many respects, there was an arrested development as he was this wonder kid, whiz kid, grew up. Ted Marchibroda gave him his first job. Then everyone knew him as the coordinator with Lawrence Taylor and Bill Parcells. So football consumed him. So all the keg parties that he missed out on that we got to do as regular human beings, I think he's going through this right now. So I don't know if this is his version of a midlife crisis, but yeah, this is his version of getting a Corvette or a sports car when he already has 3 kids.
I wish I could. My mother has a saying about something. If you don't do it in time, you'll do it
eventually.
Out of state. I can't. Yeah, but her whole narrative is like, hey, if you don't do things when you're supposed to, you'll end up trying to do them later and make a fool of yourself.
Right.
And maybe that is accurate here as it relates to Bill Belichick. I just still find it unbelievable. And I'm not pivoting. I haven't moved.
Yeah.
From the moment this thing went public, I was like, hey, man, this is a problem. And then once he's ended up at UNC, I'm like, hey, I'm starting to think this UNC thing's going to be a disaster. And I stand on that.
Yeah.
I just don't see how this works at UNC.
Jason, I'm sure that there have been a lot of PR people or people in that role that are very attractive, and maybe an older man starts to fall for them, and that they become more than just that role, and that dynamic changes, right? Even in Succession, Logan Roy ended up having a younger girl that he tried to elevate right into the news thing. And I'm sure there's a lot of situations like that. Here's the difference, and we got to put some context on this. Air Jordan supposedly met Bill Belichick on an airplane flight. I guess they were both in business class, and they hit it off. So again, this is not the regular PR client relationship. She was first, I guess, a side piece or a jump off, as the kids say. Then they developed a relationship. Okay.
Sugar baby.
Sugar baby. But most of the time, these relationships happen the opposite direction. They get hired to be the PR person or the right-hand woman, and then they start having feelings for one another. It's not generally, hey, I'm shacking up with you, but you know what? You want to be my administrative assistant? It doesn't work that way, Jay. That's where I think Cowherd is completely wrong on this one.
Yeah, this is full-blown GFE, and I won't explain
rumors on that too.
We'll just
rumors on that. You know,
we'll just
saying.
We'll
I'm
just
not judging.
leave it at
I'm
that.
not judging. Just saying.
Yeah.
Not judging.
Steve, thank you so much. I'm done with you today. We're done here. I do want to remind you guys before you leave, though, if you love me, if you love this content, if you love what we're doing here at Fearless, greatest thing you could do right now is go to fearlessmission.com. Use the promo code FEARLESS. You'll save $20 right now off for an annual subscription. Everything I'm doing, everything we're doing here at Blaze. Fearlessmission.com. Use the promo code FEARLESS. $20 off your annual subscription. Do that right now. We'll play tomorrow, and we'll see you tomorrow. Yes, you can bring me back. Go to Harmony, right, in 10 minutes. Go to the Harmony channel, and in 10 minutes, I'll have on as a guest the co-founder of GiveSendGo. We have an interesting conversation about the $500,000 that the Karmelo Anthony family has raised through GiveSendGo. I got to give Jacob Wells credit. He agreed to this interview. It's worth watching. It's worth listening to his side of the story. His explanation is pretty good. That will be live on the Harmony channel at Jason Whitlock Harmony in 10 minutes. Now we're done.
I just want, I wanna be, I just want, I wanna be, I just want, I wanna be, I just